My stool broke. Does that mean I'm going to have to stand up to work like a normal person? Well, since my stool's broken, I'm currently down here. Then I may as well figure out how deep I need my neck pocket to be. So I can either have this neck perfectly flat, like a Fender style join, but it's going to be glued in, or I can have an angle which would be more of a Gibson style or PRS style. It depends on what type of bridge you're using as to which you need and how you join the neck. This is quite a slimline bridge. The E string and whichever the other string on a bass is, G, yeah, that would make sense, are about 10mm from the base of the bridge to the top of the saddle. There is adjustment in there as well, so I can go higher. I can't go any lower. I probably could on this side, but that's where my adjustment sits. However, I want the neck to sit flat in the body, so I need to figure out how high up this needs to be in the pocket. So to do that, I can put the bridge on the end here. It's not perfect because I don't have as much of the bridge sticking out as would be useful. And then I use a long straight edge, which I've actually got set on the 2nd fret, which I put 5 or 6 layers of tape on, and I can measure how high up we sit, which at the moment is 3mm at the 24th fret. And I'll measure the same across the neck just to make sure. Yeah. Yeah. So we're about 2.5 to 3mm above the 24th fret, which, to be honest, is acceptable as action on a bass, but it's not comfortable. We want the option to be able to take it down to silly low. So if I say we wanted the ability to have 1mm under the strings at the 24th fret, then I'd want to take 2mm from this height and drop the bridge down by that amount. So in this instance, what I'd do is I'd measure how deep the neck heel itself is, and then minus 2mm off that, and that would give me the exact depth that I want my neck pocket. It's that simple. So I'm going to do that. Although I'm going to take 2.5mm because I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on the bottom of this heel just to clean up a couple of the little scratches and saw marks that are left. Now I have already made a template for my neck pocket because sometimes you just get ahead of yourself. So that's what I'm going to use to route the pocket into the body. I have lined everything up. My lines here tell me where the join on the body is, everything that I need. This is where the bridge line will sit. All of that will get transferred to the body once it's on, and obviously the all-important centre line is there. So I think I need to get this attached to the body and get the pocket routed. Now, as it stands, obviously the router can't cut square corners, and the neck heel has square corners. So I either need to square the corners in the pocket or round the corners on the neck. I haven't decided which I'm going to do yet because I'm hungry and it's Friday and I'm hungry. So I think I'm going to go get something to eat, and the next thing you see will probably be a pretty good demonstration of whichever decision I make. Yeah, you'll be able to tell which I've chosen. I want food. Well, I had a very nice, very large curry, and then quite a long nap. So now I can get back on with this. I've rounded off the corners of the neck rather than squaring off the corners of the neck pocket, because I felt like it. And I quite like the challenge of trying to get the radius to match. It never does quite perfectly, but it's close enough. I've also started measuring out where the bridge is going to go. Positioning the bridge is one of the most awkward things on any guitar. You have to get it right. Obviously with kind of modern hardware, you've got adjustment, which means you can get the intonation pretty much right wherever, as long as you're within about half an inch of travel on something like this. But you want to get it as close as possible first time, otherwise it really messes up the system and makes your life difficult. So a good place to figure it out is I like to go to StewMac's fret position calculator, because that gives you an idea of where everything goes, and it actually tells you where to put the bridge itself. For if it's a tunematic type, it tells you what compensation you need to kind of extend the scale length for the thickness of strings and things. And for Fender type bridges, it tells you where the row of the back row of screws needs to be. So obviously for this, with 24 frets and a 34-inch scale length, it tells me that a Fender style bridge, the back row of screw holes need to be 35 inches from the nut. However, Schala bridges don't line up perfectly with Fender style bridges. The holes are in a different place because I don't know why. Schala are weird. They'd probably sell a lot more of them if they were a direct drop-in replacement. But as it is, they're really good quality, so I don't care. There are, however, if you look underneath this bridge, two little holes in front of the three main mounting holes. They are exactly 1/4 of an inch in front of these. Was it 1/4? It was 1/4. I do know what I'm talking about, honest. Sometimes. Or at least I'm very good at pretending. I think that's what makes the difference, really, isn't it? That's all that matters. Where was I? Oh, it says made in Germany. Right, back to the point. This set of screw here, these two screw holes here are 1/4 of an inch in front of the main mounting screws. These two line up perfectly with 2 of the 5 screws that you get in a Fender style bass bridge, which is quite convenient, really. So if you know where the Fender style bridge needs to mount, i.e. at 35 inches back, you can add 1/4 of an inch onto that and then draw your line, which is where these screws need to line up. So when you put those over there, you can get them all nicely lined up and centered. Also conveniently, despite being a European brand and everything's measured in metric, the holes are exactly an inch apart, which kind of backs up my whole confusion theory of everything in the guitar building world is a mixture of metric and imperial, and it's designed specifically to confuse people. especially me. But if you've got a set of calipers or a decent steel rule kicking about, you can measure everything and figure it all out in your head, or get a piece of paper and try and figure it out on there. Drawings are a great way of figuring things out, but I've done this enough times now that I can just about get my head around the numbers. So I've marked where the 3 holes need to be for this bridge. If I line up the bridge there, that's going to look pretty damn cool. So what I want to do now is mark where those holes are going to be. I'm probably going to pre-drill them as well, just because I can. And that's my bridge location set. My neck, I can still go slightly deeper with the neck pocket just to get a slightly more comfortable fit, but for now it fits quite nicely. I'm going to move the bridge. I've got my marks. And I'm kind of liking this. And rather conveniently, for a glued in neck joint, that's about perfect. It's tight enough that it has a bit of friction sliding in, but it's not so tight that when I put glue in it, it's not going to fit. And now there's a dog in the street that's shouting at people, and so my dogs are going to start shouting. So I think I'm just going to mark these holes and get on with the next thing.